We're here, aren't we? Is that it?
We're live.
Right, good. Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome once again to the Inside Out Effect podcast. With me, I'm your host, Stephen Jakes from healingthemind.co.uk. And obviously, as well, the co-founder of the Inside Out Effect with this young man here, Jonathan Shaw. So, this is episode 49.
49.
Yeah.
I know, I realised that the other day driving the car.
That's
49th episode.
49th episode. And today we're actually going to be talking about something quite some controversial or a bit mind-blowing, which is, like I said, very controversial.
Not the most controversial thing I could talk to you about, but certainly up there.
Yeah, it is. And the theme is, have you ever wondered why you get ill or sick around holiday season?
Yeah.
Now, I've experienced this many, many times over the years. I get sick at Christmas, I get sick on holidays, I get sick all the time. But, you know, it would always be, oh, yeah, well, I called it off someone on the plane had something, and I called it off the plane, or, you know, and all that stuff. So we're actually going to go into detail today a little bit more about actually what's really going on, because we are going to dispel the myth that we catch sickness and illness, and we're all going to go into that a little bit more and explain the biological functions that are going on within the body. So we're going to be covering that in detail, but we won't be doing what happened on this day.
We won't.
No,
we'll put that to bed.
We put that.
It died.
Well, not so much it's died. I spoke to a couple of my clients, and they're like, "Oh yeah, when you get to that bit, I turn it off." Oh. So I'm like, "Well, okay, if that's happening across the board, then
we don't want that.
I don't really want to. So I can't show off my knowledge anymore. So we're going to do something completely different.
Okay.
And not do it.
And not show off your knowledge.
And not show
Fantastic. Superb.
Yes, but we are going to do the stupidest thing that we've heard this week.
And you're going to cover that, because I haven't got one. I did have one, I can't remember. Jane, if you're watching, what was it Matthew said? Because I can't remember.
Yeah.
So message it on here if you're watching what Matthew said.
Jane's here. She's
Hi, Jane.
Hello, Jane.
Right, message me what Matthew said, on because I can't remember what he said. It was very funny. He was joking, but it was his son. Very, very funny.
Okay. Yeah, well,
actually, yes, I'll talk about Matthew. That's what I'll talk about. Remind me later about Matthew.
All right, I will do.
Not Matthew personally, but his injury.
Okay, will do. Okay, all right, finish now?
Oh, I'm all right.
Okay, well,
I got excited for a minute. I got into it for a second. Do you want me to calm down now?
If you could.
I'll go back to being subdued.
For the first time in a while, I'd imagine. But anyway,
That's what she said.
That's what she said.
So
yeah,
anyway,
well, I'll do your stupidest thing you've heard this week, and I'll do the stupidest thing I've seen this week.
Oh, you got two of them.
So
now you're just showing off.
I am just
you're showing off your intelligence and knowledge.
I know.
See, you dropped one vehicle, you found another one for it.
Yeah,
brilliant.
So we'll do that.
We'll do that.
We'll talk that. But before we start.
Yes.
So before we start, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce my co-host, the creator of the DTO system, my personal friend, and my good friend, my business partner. But anyway, so he's also the author of the book, The Emotional Blueprint to Healing Chronic Pain, as well as the DTO Handbook. I've got my good friend and my business partner, and he's here in the studio every week with me, putting up with my... Yeah, it's our studio.
If I was in the studio, it'd be in the wrong place. We'd be doing it separately.
It's good. I think the studio looks good.
Studio's
a good shout.
We need a big light that signs the studio live.
Yeah, I know.
Or on air.
Don't project that we've got this professional studio, and we're not in my kitchen, sitting at the end of my...
You do realise that half of the clients that you treated was here last Saturday night and saw the kitchen where we do it from.
I know.
So they know where you've done it now.
I know.
Where we're doing it.
I know. So
you've let them into the secret.
I am.
You've destroyed it.
I know.
By the party.
So anyway, I'll introduce Jonathan Shaw, my good friend. Hello, Jonathan.
Good evening. How are you, Mr. Jakes?
I'm okay.
Good.
I'm recovering.
You're recovering?
After a pretty hectic week.
Yeah. You've been super busy.
Yeah, well, I've been super busy, big time. I had my son for a week. Then I had to organise this party that I did for all my clients, and
you didn't have to. You decided to.
I know. Okay, but I still had to do that, and I did that all on my own without any help. Well, I say that.
I was going to say, yeah, a couple of people helped you.
Yeah, a couple of help people with the food.
Yeah, they did.
But everything else I did, I had to do and organise myself. And then this week I've been really busy with clients. So
brilliant.
It's been great, but great party, wasn't it?
You did organise an excellent party. You do know how to throw a good party.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was very good. It was well put together. Everyone had a lovely time. Everyone had a great time.
I know, it's great.
You had some really good people helping you with the food.
Yeah.
And
a massive thank you to Rebecca, because she was just outstanding. And also,
she was fantastic. Thank you, Rebecca.
She helped put all of the stuff together in the morning, but she cooked it as well.
Yeah.
We sat out here till about 4 o'clock in the morning, actually. She lives in London, so I had to travel back. But it was a great night. And but unfortunately, I overbought on the food.
Yeah.
A few people didn't turn up that said they were coming. So I've now massively got loads of food. So we're going to do it again in a few weeks.
I don't think that's unfortunate. I think that's brilliant.
I know, it's great. So
we're going to do it again. Yeah, it's brilliant.
So,
We've had a good night.
Yeah, it's been,
It was a really good night. Everyone really enjoyed it. It was nice to get out and socialise. It was nice to just have a party again and be around people.
It was awesome, wasn't it? That's why I said it was a group of. That's why I said it was a gathering of amazing individuals, because everyone here was amazing. They're all people that have decided, realised that their life isn't working for them. They've got something that they need to solve. They've then reached out and found found me, then confided in me, told me all their deepest, darkest secrets. Didn't know, some of them don't know me from Adam, and then I've been able to fix them and help them, and they've gone on to solve it. And I think anybody that can do that is an amazing individual. If you want to model or a yardstick of how you class yourself as an amazing individual, I think that probably would be one of the key things you'd do.
Right.
And all these people were amazing, and it was great because everyone just got on, and it was just such a great night. And so I'm looking forward to doing that again in a few weeks' time.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, really, really good. So, how you been? Have you been all right?
I've been all right. I've been really, really busy.
Super busy?
Been super busy.
No shit, Sherlock?
I've been super busy. I've been super busy. I actually have. I've been really, really busy with all sorts of different problems coming to see me, and a few injuries again, which I haven't had for a while, obviously because no one's been able to go and do anything. But now people are going out doing sports again and back to the gym. I'm getting some injuries come back.
Funnily enough.
Yeah, funnily enough. But I do want to point out the amazing healing capacity of DTO, because I had a young kid come and see me the other day. And say young kid, he's a teenager. Yeah. That's him. Known him, for a while. I've treated pretty much his whole family. Why do I keep putting my hand in front of the camera like that? Just
I don't know. Why do you keep banging it on the table?
I don't know. I'm just really animated tonight. What's going on? But anyway, so he came to me with this injury. He'd been to the hospital. The hospital said a soft tissue injury, and just sent him home. Didn't do anything. The leg was completely swollen. Now I looked at it, and I think it was more than a soft tissue. It was more than a soft tissue injury. The kneecap had actually moved across to one side. I actually thought it was out of place. But I couldn't do too much to it because it literally not long happened. So I did some basic DTO on it, and then I taught his mum how to do basic DTO, just a healing version, not dealing with the emotions necessarily, just every night doing 10 minutes of DTO, laying your hands on and just doing the DTO, very basic process. And he came to me literally 4 days later, and it was a million times better, and then I could actually work it. And he said literally that night or a couple of nights later, he felt the bone click back into place again. He felt the kneecap go back, and then she kept doing it. And really, it was down to her that really helped move it healing fast, just doing that detail. Yes, he needed some soft tissue massage and he needed a little bit of rehabilitation, but a lot of the work that did most of the healing was my client doing DTO on her son's knee. It was just an amazing, quick healing of quite a severe injury. I mean, he would have been out for a good 2, maybe even 3 months with that injury, because it would take him so long to heal, and it would take him so long for him to get better. And within a few weeks, he'll be back playing football in about a week or so. Once I see him, on it this week, I'm sure he'll be back doing it, and he'll be fine.
That's amazing.
So it was an amazing quick turnaround for someone who's not a healer, doesn't do therapy. She just learnt the basics, and she just did this on her son, let her do it. And it's fantastic. So I'm completely amazed that you can just heal yourself or heal others just knowing simple techniques.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So I just want to go into the Facebook feed. So good evening, Bobby. And also evening, Marcus Bob. Chapman needs saying. Yeah, hello. I don't know what needs saying, but it needs saying. And Mike, did you end up eating toast? No, I didn't, mate, actually. I was full up from all the food that I had and all the stuff that's left over. I made loads of these little canapes. They were absolutely awesome. I did chorizo, olive and manchego. Goat cheese, dates, and walnuts, which were amazing. So no toast, I'm afraid, mate. I might do it in the next round. Yes, some toast on the fire pit. Do that. So which also going back to what you were just saying about tissue. You've done something similar, pretty much. You want to talk about that?
Yeah. So I got around here tonight, and Steve obviously goes to the gym. Mike knows he goes to the gym, and he's been having pain under his sort of around. He couldn't really describe where it was.
Back of the shoulder and under the arm.
Back of the shoulder, under the arm. It was all round there.
Really fucking up all week.
And he's had it all week, and it's the first time we've been able to actually see him in person. And basically what he's done 2 things. He's pulled a muscle, or a tendon rather. He's pulled a tendon. And he's also trapped tissue in his shoulder socket, which was causing a really sharp pain. But this is the thing that I said to him: people don't realise that when they exercise, they don't realise they actually pull muscles quite a lot without realising it, because they make silly movements, especially if your posture's not good. And we often don't realise when we pull a muscle or a tendon that it's painful, and we often leave it. But then later on, it causes more problems. So what Steve did was he obviously pulled the tendon a few weeks ago, and it was sore, but he didn't do anything about it. And then when he's gone to that same motion again, because the muscle and the tendon got weaker, because he pulled it, the shoulder had to do something different to try and take the weight, and it's pulled the shoulder socket out briefly. Then it's gone back in and trapped tissue between it. And it's really common. It happens a lot. In fact, I've said this before, a lot of what is apparently rotator cuff injuries is down to the very thing that he did.
Yeah.
But what's common is that people injure themselves during a sport and they don't do anything about it. And then later on it manifests as a chronic painful injury. And often the therapist has no idea why, because therapists often don't look back at your history and find out what you've done and what you haven't done.
Yeah.
So just be mindful if you are exercising, we do exercise regularly, get any small injuries or any small tweaks looked at, because they can manifest into chronic conditions. And if Steve had left that, he would have lost the use of his shoulder, because gradually over time it got more and more painful. He wouldn't be able to go to the gym. He wouldn't be able to exercise. No one would know what he'd done. He'd go to the doctor, go to physio said rotator cuff. He'd do rotator cuff exercises. That'd make it worse, and he'd be buggered.
Yeah.
And I literally saw a client like that that was recommended to me, and he had that for 10 months. He's now much better. He can move his arm again, everything. But he had that exact same thing for 10 months because it was misdiagnosed and no one knew what was wrong.
Yeah. So that was, and what was worrying is that how much that injury had not, if I'd not have known you or got that, how that could have had an effect.
You'd have got worse.
Later,
you'd have ended up with a frozen shoulder down the line, not being able to move it. You wouldn't be able to work out anything.
So that's good. That's good. Thanks, mate. Thanks for sorting that out for me.
Yeah.
Right. So what about anything else? Anything else you want to talk about before you move on?
Before I move on?
Move on, you move on?
No.
Will you move on?
No.
We're moving on.
We're moving on. No, I think it's time to talk about the main event. You've been good, though. You've had your son. We want to talk about your son?
Well, I had my son. I think we talked about it last time.
Did we talk about it last time? We just talked about it.
I had the party.
Yeah, the party, yeah, it was good.
And this week, actually, I've been really busy. So I was knackered.
Well, yeah.
I was knackered, but I've been really busy this week. So it's a bit weird because I'm in them 2 weeks where I had my son and I didn't have anyone, and I was sorting out the party, getting all the stuff. I hardly had any clients come at all. As soon as the party was over, finally it stopped.
So that's the universe looking after you.
Yeah, the universe looking after me. So this week I've been maxed out, and also next week already I'm at, So I've been doing that really.
It's amazing how the universe works like that. The universe will just take things when you need it to be gone, then bring it back again. When you know how to use the universe, it works perfectly well. Absolutely,
yeah. Manifesting it in the way it needs to be manifested. But so I've had some really good clients this week.
Good.
Just again, a lot of it's anxiety. So I've just been basically switching it off.
Yeah.
And a few people that have got a bit of PTSD. They've seen suicides and other stuff, and so I've been able to get rid of that really, really quickly. I actually got rid of it in one session for that person. So they've had it for a long, long, long time.
Yeah.
And it was less than an hour, about 55 minutes. I got rid of the shock of it happening and the images, and now it's completely gone.
Great.
Less than an hour.
Less than an hour. That's
15
fantastic.
years, I think they did that for.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, other than that, been really, really busy.
Good.
Just doing that, really.
Good. Excellent.
Yeah. So, we won't talk about me anymore tonight.
Okay.
So let's talk about. So this came up. I know Norman Collier. I
thought it was Alf Garley. Now you're Norman Collier.
No, the reason why I brought this topic up,
is
because, funnily enough, some friends of mine went on holiday last week.
Yes.
And obviously I go to I'm friends. Anyway, so when I spoke to them, they said, I can't come to the party. I've got COVID. I'm like, fucking hell, really? Right. And they obviously don't know. And the reason I got COVID is because they took the PCR test, which isn't designed to detect, doesn't actually diagnose. So anyway, so I'm like, you haven't, and so I'm saying you haven't caught anything, right?
No.
I said, well, if that's it, one of our people we met, there's something flashed up on their phone, and then now I've got it, and he's got it, and she's got it, and they've all done the test, and the test come back saying positive. I've got it. I'm like, well, the test don't work, so you haven't got it. And I'm like, you've got sick. And I know what causes, obviously I know that we don't catch sickness and illness, right?
No.
So anyway, So I'm like, and I've explained this to this person for a long time, but now they've got it. All of a sudden, as soon as they've got the symptoms, they've got it, right? So I thought it'd be really good to clear up, because this is a common thing that people go on holiday, and when they're on holiday, like I said, this happens to me a lot. They'll either get sick either just before or just after, or when they're on holiday, or around Christmas or Easter. We always go down and get sick.
Yeah.
And there is a specific reason that causes that.
Yes, there is.
There is an absolute specific reason why it causes it. And because we don't know what causes it, we go, oh, someone on the plane fucking give it to me. Oh, someone on the plane, oh, I'm sick because obviously someone on the plane made me sick. I hear it all the time.
Yeah.
Or, oh, I bumped into someone at the airport, must have given it to me. Right, all that. I don't know why I'm talking like that.
I don't know why. I don't.
But, you know, so I hear it all the time, and I know it not to be true. And it doesn't matter what I tell people, they still won't believe it or won't have it. So I thought it'd be really great if we could actually talk about what's actually going on biologically, and why this happens, and why people do get sick Easter, Christmas, on or after or during the summer holidays, because it's very, very simple. And I thought that you'd be the absolutely right person to discuss what that is, obviously with the stress repair phase, and we can talk about it in a bit more details, why they get sick and how that's happening. So that's going to be the topic. So interestingly enough, I'm going to hand over to my good friend Jonathan Shaw, who is going to talk about why we get sick on and during holidays.
Okay, so I realise this is a controversial topic, especially with everything that's going on at the moment.
It's a myth.
But for now, put what's happening in the world aside, because COVID is different, and there's too many different things you need to understand for that to make sense. And you're going to have too many questions about COVID, like, people are getting pinged because they're getting a PCR test. Well, you need to understand how the PCR test works and everything, and you don't. So unless you've done your research, you won't. So put that aside. Just take normal flus, colds, viruses, all the normal viruses that we apparently get when we go on holiday. Leave COVID out for a second. So when I first learned this, this is something called meta health. This is what I learned when I was in my mid-20s. I suffered with a shoulder problem. I couldn't fix it. And I learned this reason why we become sick and disease called meta health. Meta health is not a therapy. It's an analysis of why we get sick. And it was created by a doctor, or it was discovered by a doctor, a German doctor. And it makes so much sense. When I learned this, it was so logical. It made so much sense. I kind of got it straight away. And not everybody does. Not everyone gets it straight away. But I was totally skeptical. I'm still very skeptical of things. I don't believe them. So I go out and test it. What I can tell you is I have tested this in the last 10, 15 years that I've been doing it. And I've tested it on all types of problems, including colds, flus, bronchitis, and even chicken pox. And I'm going to tell you different stories to illustrate how I got that person better and what actually caused the problem in the first place. And a lot of these people didn't believe me, but they just wanted to get better. So it doesn't matter whether you believe this or not. It's irrelevant, because the problem is that people have a belief about something. They go, well, I don't believe that. But the problem is when you do that, you have no experience or knowledge of the subject. So your only experience is having had something. Well, having had something doesn't mean you're an expert in it. No. The only time you can claim you're an expert in something is if you've healed yourself of it naturally, and you've healed at least 20 other people of it naturally. Then you can say you're an expert. Yeah. Other than that, just having something. So when people come to me,
no, can I just say this is the common answer. So if I say to somebody, you didn't catch that. Well, how else did I get it then?
That's right.
Right?
Exactly,
and that's it. End of line. They don't know. They can't, because they've been told that they caught it. There is no other explanation and so forth. Well, how else did I get it then? And if I've got it, my daughter's got it. Well, how else did we get it? Right? Yeah. But they're not willing to listen to the explanation, and that actually is the reason why. They'll just shut it down straight away because they don't want to know, and it's easier for them just to say they caught it because it means they haven't got to learn or do anything.
Yeah. So if you're unwilling to hear what I'm about to say, that's going to be for multiple reasons. Might be one, because you don't want to think that what you've been taught is wrong. And I totally understand that, because we often don't want, when I learned meta, I remember Greg. I remember doing Greg's course, right? And I'd learned meta ages ago, and I was on Greg's course, and Greg says to me, what if it's something better than meta? And I was like, no, it's not possible. It can't be anything better than meta. I really defended meta. And I'm not saying that meta's not great, but then DTO came along. And although DTO is not a diagnostic tool, meta is a diagnostic tool, DTO does explain why we get sick from a slightly different perspective. And so from that point of view, the two things work perfectly together. But at that point, I couldn't see anything better than meta. I couldn't see anything that would. So I totally understand when you get blocked about beliefs. But all I want you to do is just listen to what I'm about to say and listen to the examples and listen to how those people got better, even when they didn't believe they got better. Because this belief has been around for over 100 years, that we catch things from the external world. And the only reason we're trying to share this information is because when you believe that and believe that's the case without actually looking into the actual science of it, unless while you believe that, you're just going to suffer. So you're just going to be ill for longer.
And you'll keep getting it.
And you'll keep getting it. And we don't want that. So ask yourself the question, do you want to keep getting ill and being sick from things you apparently catch? Or do you want to be safe, healthy and well? If you want to be safe, healthy and well, brilliant. You need a new understanding of why you get sick, because the old one doesn't work because you keep getting sick and ill. If you're totally okay with being sick and ill and suffering, switch off now, stop watching, because you won't like what I'm about to say. I'll give you a couple of seconds.
Where do I do that?
Yeah, just do that now. Just go off your phone. I'm being really blunt and direct.
No, we need to. We need to.
But I want people to be healthy and well. My belief is that there's no reason for illness and disease in this world, and that we should not be sick and diseased. And there really are only two things that create illness and disease. One are toxins, and two are what I'm going to discuss in a minute. So if you are okay being sick and ill and don't want to know how to make yourself really healthy and well, switch off now.
And you love your pharma drugs.
And you love your drugs.
You're like, hello, can I? Oh, you love phoning up doctor at 8 o'clock in the morning,
and if
trying to get your appointment so you can go and get your drugs. Oh, no, sweetheart, I've got some antivirals here. Do you want to have some of them? I've got some antidepressants here. There we want some of them. Oh, I just brought that out for you. Go downstairs. See you later. Next.
Yes.
Right.
If you want that, great. If you want to believe that the NHS as a body is there to help you, great. Not the doctors and nurses. A lot of doctors and nurses get into it for good reasons, but it's the actual NHS as the actual medical system in the whole world is the problem.
Yes.
It's the way they look at it. Yeah. So when I first learned this, I was skeptical, but I have tested it lots, and since I've learned this, I've never really had a cold or a flu since. So just understanding it and really getting it myself, I've never got a cold or flu. I went
down 3 weeks ago with the worst flu ever.
Yes.
Right? And all I did, and that's because something happened in my life that gave me such a shock, my body freaked out, and all I did was switch off all of the shocks, and I completely healed up out of the flu.
Exactly. Now you've got a very quick classic example of doing that.
Yeah.
So we'll go into that story in a second, and I'll explain what happens when he tells the story. So what I want to do is this actually gets people better when they're stuck. So I get people come to me with colds and flus and bronchitis and chest infections, urine infections, bladder infections, all types of things that won't go, that are not healing the medical way, and they're not healing naturally, and they're still suffering. And then I'm able to switch it off and get them better. Now, I think that's a great thing because I'm getting people better. I've actually been attacked for that. I'm like, seriously? My cousin actually went, oh, well, good for you. I was like, well, I'm just helping somebody get better when they can't get better. So it made no sense to me. But all we're trying to do is help you. But to do it, you've got to open your mind, because this is really new information. But it's amazing. It's incredible information. Yeah, and there are doctors and scientists out there who back up what I'm about to say. They will tell you that's what this is. But it's not in mainstream. So here's the thing. When let's ask some questions first. Have you ever wondered why at Christmas time a man will often get sick at Christmas time? They haven't gone anywhere. They've not gone on holiday, but they'll get sick at Christmas time as soon as they finish work. Now, traditionally, they go, oh, well, it's winter, it's flu. Yeah, but not all people get sick at Christmas time. See, this is the big problem with if you catch something, we'd all catch it all at once or at the same time. Because once one person gets another one, and we all come in contact with each other, we're all connected. So it's not really a great theory. And then someone goes, well, it's your immune system, it's stronger. Bollocks. What a fucking stupid answer that is.
I know.
That because there are people out there who've got really weak immune systems because they smoke and drink, and they don't catch things really easily. So it's not a legitimate answer because there are people out there who don't do that. If you've got a group of people and with anything that the medical profession say, it's always 50-50 or 30-30. It's never 100%. So you'll get some people with low immune system always get ill, and some people with low immune system never get ill. You'll get some people who drink alcohol have liver problems, and some people who drink alcohol don't get liver problems. It doesn't make sense. If it was the actual thing they're saying, everyone would get it. Everyone would have it. If I take a pen, if I take this, if I let go of this, it's always going to fall on the desk. It's not going to go sideways once or twice or go up. It's always going to drop to the floor. Now, a lot of people might say it's gravity. I might disagree and say it's density. But we'll leave that. But it's always going to do it. If something is the cause of something, it's always the cause of something. It is not random things. 1 minute it's this, 1 minute it's that. It's that in that person, that in another person. It's not the way it works.
No.
So, when someone gets sick at Christmas, especially blokes, the reason they get sick is because they've had such a stressful period of time at work. They've probably had a deadline because it's Christmas.
Yeah.
They've had something come up. So either they've had a deadline at work that's stressful, or they've had some kind of shock or trigger, because Christmas triggers the fuck out of people all the time. Once they get to Christmas and they stop, once they stop doing everything, because Christmas time normally you can't do anything for a good 3-4 days.
Yeah.
Sometimes even longer. Somebody has sometimes a week, 2 weeks off. Once you stop, that is when your body wants to heal all the stress that's built up, whether it's from a deadline or a shock or a trauma,
or the fact. I just want to add into this so other people might get it. But you might actually be in the stress of Christmas. You got to go and buy the shopping. You got to get the kids' presents. You got to wrap them all up. You got to do this. You got to order the food. You got to get the food in. You got to get everything ready for Christmas. At the same time, you got to go to work. You've been at work for 7 months, 8 months, 9 months without a holiday. You're on a deadline, and you're getting up every morning, working 6 days a week, 6 days a week, 6 days a week, 6 days a week. You're putting your body into stress consistently over a period of time, and then just as it comes down to Christmas, the holiday period, you're going to get even more stress because you've got to get everything: the wife's present, the husband's present, the kids' present, the family's present, and all the food and all the rest of it. So very stressful.
Yes,
you're actually putting your body through high amounts of stress over a long period of time.
Just Christmas itself is stress. So if you are having, but that's a general stress. That's a stress of doing things and an event coming up. It's not a biological shock or trauma that's happened. It's just a stress of an environmental situation. Very much like the stress of a work deadline. So you could have that. And then once you stop, if you do genuinely stop, so most mums who do all that before Christmas, because dads don't, most mums who do all that, I say mums if you're not a parent, but most women who do that, wives, they actually don't necessarily always go straight into repair, because they go back to stress again, because then they've got to clean it all up, wash it, dish it, and they've got to run the family round.
Sick in the new year.
They get sick in the new year, that's right. Yeah. Whereas men get sick at Christmas because they don't do any of that. They just go to work, they have the stress at work, come home, relax, and switch off. Once they stop, they often get ill.
Yeah. So explain why.
So what happens is that when your body goes through a period of stress, which is your sympathetic nervous system, when you are in that phase of your sympathetic nervous system, let's use this. So sympathetic nervous system, when you're under stress, whatever it is, whether it's a stressful event or trauma, you're in your sympathetic nervous system. At some point, when that stress resolves, you're going to move into your parasympathetic nervous system. And when you move into this is when you're going to get sick. This is when you're going to get what are labeled flu, bronchitis, colds, and viral symptoms that everyone labels a virus. When you're in your parasympathetic nervous system, it's not random. You start in stress and you move to repair. You start in sympathetic and move to parasympathetic. It's that simple. And all you have to do to resolve it, if you're stuck in it, is resolve the shock. Now, I've done this countless times in the last 10, 15 years that I've been doing this. And I'm going to give you some examples. My mum, I have mentioned this long time ago on the podcast. Yep. My mum, years ago, we was in Lakeside, and it was about 5 days before Christmas, and she was walking around Lakeside, and she was getting sick. She said she'd been feeling run down for the past few days. She was getting sicker and sicker and sicker, and she couldn't do the shopping. We had to do Christmas shopping, and she had 4 days of really intense parties and things going on, and she didn't know how she was going to cope with it. So I said, okay, I can make your symptoms disappear right now. But in 4 days' time, on Christmas Eve, you have to let the symptoms come back out of your body, and so they can heal and resolve properly. So that's what she did. She let me do it. So what I did is I did what you can do in some situations. Remember, she was moving into repair. So her symptoms were now in the parasympathetic nervous system. In stress, there are no flu symptoms or viral symptoms. There's nothing. You're just stressed. So what I did is I stressed her. I put her back here. I took her to KFC and made her eat shit food. I took her. We had an espresso coffee in Starbucks. We had some muffins, and I also made her think about something at work that I knew stressed her that wasn't technically directly related to her.
Yeah.
Within 10 minutes, my mum was dancing around Lakeside, and all the symptoms had completely vanished. It was like a miracle. She couldn't believe it. And this, I said, now all you got to do is keep yourself in a low state of stress for 4 days. Just eat shit food, drink lots of coffee. She did that, but I said 4 days later, you got to come out and eat healthy again. She went to a party. She felt great. By the time the Tuesday came around, Christmas Eve, she woke up and she started to feel ill. And I said, right, now eat healthy, drink plenty of water and rest. And within 5 or 6 days, it was gone because she let it come out of the system and rest. I didn't clear the shock for us. I didn't need to. I just let it come out naturally. But it's a classic example of how I was able to put her back to stress and shift her symptoms literally within 10 minutes just by understanding that. My mum did not believe me. My mum does not believe everything I say. In fact, very rarely she believes things that I say because I'm her son and parents often don't believe their kids. And that's fine. I'm okay with that.
Which is what shocked me.
Which is what shocks you. And we'll come on to that in a second.
Yeah.
But she didn't have to believe me because this is biology. This is what happens in your system. That's why it's true. So when people go, well, I don't believe that, that's fine. But unless you've researched the biology and anatomy of how it actually happens and the science, not what they say on Google, but the actual science, you don't know. And the thing is that I've done this lots with countless clients. So again, we'll come on to Steve's story in a second. But one of my clients I've mentioned before, he had chronic bronchitis for a year and he tried all the intense medication you could get and eventually nothing was working. So he was recommended to me. He did not believe me, but he was desperate because he couldn't function any longer. It was getting bad. And what it turned out to be was it was his business partner. One of his business partners wasn't pulling their weight. And because of that, he was getting bronchitis in his chest because it was a territory. It was an anger territory issue, which hit his chest as a man. And because of an anger territory issue, he got what they label as bronchitis. And he had it and he kept having it because he couldn't get his business partner out. He didn't know how to do it. So what I did was I switched off the conflicts. I switched off the beliefs that were stopping him from getting the person out. I switched off the shocks. I switched off the triggers. And then eventually he got the business partner out. But as I did that, he started to heal. But the last little bit was getting rid of the business partner. And as soon as he did that, he healed completely. And he even then, a few months later, was sitting outside just after Christmas. I remember this because he told me the story. Sitting outside just after Christmas. And he said, I was sitting outside and I felt the symptoms come on. And for a brief second, he went, oh, it's because it's cold. And then he went, oh, shit. He realised he was talking to his business partner. He was literally having a coffee with him. And it just re-triggered him briefly because he hadn't seen his business partner since they separated. It wasn't a massive trigger. Didn't trigger all the symptoms off. He realised it, let it go, and he was fine. But that's exactly how it works.
I think it gives a great example of whatever happens outside of us is a trigger to what happens inside of us.
That's exactly correct.
That's basically all it is. So in a nutshell, for anybody that's struggling, is that when you get sick, you haven't caught anything. Someone hasn't coughed on you or sprayed on you or given you something or you're run down or whatever. Basically what's happened is something in your environment has created a response inside of your body, which initially caused you to go into stress. So it could have been a short period of stress or a long period of stress. And then once you come out of that stress, because like Jonathan said, we don't have any symptoms in stress. It's a bit like when you bang your shin on the table, right? And it really hurts. And then you go, oh, I'm really ill. All of a sudden that pain goes away.
Yeah.
And the pain goes away. And then all of a sudden, as soon as you relax again, the pain kicks in. Because when we're in stress, we don't experience anything because we're in stress. Right?
Well, you don't experience most symptoms. There are some symptoms in stress.
I'm trying to be simple.
But pain and flus you don't.
Right. So that's the whole point. So what's going on is something happens in our environments and we react to that internally. And that shock or whatever it is that's happening externally, whatever the psychological element of it is, will affect you biologically. So, for example, if it's anger, if it's territory, it's going to affect your chest. If it's abandonment, it's going to affect your kidney. If it's going to be something that makes you about your voice or something, or your feel, affect your throat. If it's something you can't digest or swallow, or it's another shock that hit your stomach. All of these symptoms relate to certain parts of the body. So, when you're on your plane, you got off the plane, you've been in stressed for, I don't know, you've been at work for 3 months, or you're stressing out about getting everybody and getting the kids ready and getting there for the flight and making sure the flight and all the rest of it. And then you get on the plane and all of a sudden you're like, I'm on holiday. Now you've gone from that stress phase into the repair phase, and now the symptoms are going to start kicking in. Yes. And your basic body is going to now repair itself from all of the stress that you've been putting your biological systems through. So biologically, you have to now repair yourself, and those when your symptoms come out. And the problem is when we go into them symptoms, that's when we think we're sick, and we go to see the doctor, but it's so late by that time because you're already in repair. And then you're going to get your pharma drugs, and the pharma drugs then put you back from being in repair into stress again, right? Yes. And then what happens is you're into stress, and you think that the tablets have worked and everything's hunky-dory and great.
Medication puts you back into the sympathetic nervous system. So you're in repair, you're trying to heal, and medication puts you backwards.
Yes.
And then so when you come off the medication, you move forwards again into repair, and the symptoms come back again. This happens consistently with people with chronic problems. Now, often flus and colds, they resolve very easily. But if they're not, it's because this is running in your system. So ask yourself the question, do you want to believe that you've caught it and you have to suffer for longer, or do you just want to get rid of it? Do you just want to resolve it and go back to living your life? What do you want to do? To me, I want to get better.
Yeah, exactly. And here's another thing. The reason why the reason why I think everybody got sick around the lockdown is because the shock of hearing that there's this virus and you're going to die is going to freak and shock everybody. Yeah. Everyone's going to go into stress. You're locked down. You can't go out. You can't do this. You can't do that. You've got to wear a mask, blah, blah, blah. You're in a state of stress, right? And guess what? So many people I know got sick around the 19th of July.
Yeah.
And they went, oh my God, everyone's got COVID. Do you know what that is? Is when they turned around and said, right, we're letting go of freedom. We're going to have Freedom Day. And everyone's gone, and they've gone out of stress, in repair, and everyone got sick. Everybody I speak to down the gym was like, I've had COVID. And people are like, oh my God, it's everywhere. No. It's because your body is now going out of the stress phase into the repair phase.
Because being locked down is a territory issue. And all flus, viruses and colds are about your territory, your environment, your space around you. And so as soon as you resolve that, when lockdown lifted, as Steve said, bam, you're resolving all that stress of being locked down and you become ill. The reason that not everyone gets it is because they didn't feel stressed in lockdown. If you felt great in lockdown, you're not going to get viral symptoms, because there's no stress about it. You're happy to be locked down.
Yeah.
If you didn't worry about it, I didn't worry about it. It annoyed me what was going on, but I didn't worry about the lockdown bit. I just carried on. So I didn't get any symptoms.
So let's bring it around, because I actually was affected by it.
Yes.
Well, I had two things happen. I got really, really ill. I was in a really bad way for about 2 days. Right, really bad way.
Yeah.
But that's because of two things. Funny enough, that happened on the 22nd of July. Now, when you understand the stress and repair phase, when you come out of stress, it's normally 3 days and you go into repair. So 19th was Freedom Day, 21st, 20th, 21st, 22nd, 3 days. I went down feeling like shit. I was really ill. Why? Because I went into repair out of being stressed out about the whole lockdown hoo-ha, right? So that was one contribution of why I went down on the 22nd, sick as a pig as shit. The second thing was that something happened in my family, right, which was a massive shock to me. Huge shock. When I heard that, I actually felt my stomach go boof, like as soon as I heard it. That happened on the Thursday, right? Yep. That actually happened on the 19th.
Right, okay.
So 3 days later. So
it's probably more that. It's probably more that necessarily than the...
Well, both. I think it's both. I think it's both, because we had to clear... Whatever we cleared was some of that, right? Yeah. So I had two things that happened on the same day. I had the Freedom Day and I heard the thing from my family that really shocked me. And by Monday, I come downstairs and I was freezing cold and I was shaking and my back hurt, my skin hurt, my legs hurt, I had a headache, I had a sore throat, I felt sick. Every part of my body was in a really bad way.
Yeah.
And I spent most of Monday in bed until I had enough energy to contact you and said, right, something's happened, I need to switch it off. So let's go into that a little bit, because it's really... So I had that shock, and then I obviously was in the stress, went into symptoms, which is a stress and repair phase of 3 days. So just carry on, clear up now what was going on there for the...
Well, I think you explained it quite well. I mean, the thing is that depending on your perception of the shock. So if
I was just going to say, perception.
So go to your perception of the shock, right? So the shock that you had, what symptoms did you get? Describe each symptom you had.
Well, I had really bad stomachache.
Yep.
I had really bad, so all my ribs really hurt, all my muscles hurt, all my skin hurt.
Right.
I had a really sore throat and I was pounding headache and I couldn't think straight.
Right. So now this is something that people never question. Whenever we get a virus, whenever we have those symptoms or flu or whatever it is, people have different symptoms. Sometimes it affects their nose, sometimes their chest, sometimes their throat, sometimes their head, sometimes their ears, sometimes their toe. It affects or their stomach or diarrhea. It always affects people in different ways. Very few of us have the exact same symptoms. We have different symptoms. That's because of our perception of the shock.
Yes.
So
what it means to us.
What it means to us. Well, how we perceive it. So in the case of Stephen, I know exactly what the shock was about. Not because he told me, but I can tell him the issue. The issue was something that he couldn't digest.
Absolutely.
It was something that he felt attacked and powerless over.
Correct.
What was your other symptom? Throat?
Sore throat.
Sore throat. So it was a fear of his territory.
Yeah.
Right?
It was.
And what else?
I had ribs really bad all down my back.
Ribs protection. So he was trying to protect somebody.
I was trying to protect somebody, yeah.
So he couldn't digest something that left with a fear of his territory. He was trying to protect the person, and he felt attacked and powerless.
Yes, absolutely. 100%.
What was the conflict? Well, you don't want to say the conflict.
Well, I don't really want to say what it is, but it was to do about somebody getting a vaccination.
Yeah.
After I'd spent 6 months just telling them everything about do not have it because whatever your choice is, but I know all about it. So I did everything, and then I found out that for months they'd lied to me.
Yeah.
And I'd had it 6 months ago. For 6 months, I knew, whatever you do. And then when I heard that they'd had it, it was
massive shock.
Whoa.
That would be a massive shock.
Because they lied, because of the lies as well.
So I didn't tell him the details of the shock. I told him the biological conflicts. Now, yes, he had told me that earlier on, obviously. But I just told him the biological shock. And it just resonated every single time. Couldn't digest it, fear for his territory, attacking, feeling powerless, and wanting to protect somebody.
Absolutely, yeah.
And as soon as I find that, you switch all of those off. In fact, Steve did that himself. And gradually, as he switched it off, it was a big conflict. It took a few times, didn't it?
Yeah, it did, yeah.
But as he switched it off, gradually his symptoms got better and better and better and better. We're not telling you this to traumatise you.
Guess what?
We're telling you this that you can resolve it yourself.
Guess what? I was back in the gym the following Monday.
Great, exactly.
I was back in the gym.
Now, how long would that have knocked you out for if you didn't go in the gym?
I don't know.
So these things knock people out for weeks on end.
So I was back in the gym on the Monday and I was back to normal. Oh, well, the other thing as well is I lost my smell and taste.
Great. So that means, all it means is it got up your nose or on your nerves and it left a bitter taste in your mouth.
And as soon as I switched it off, my smell and my thing
came
back, straight back. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So all that's happening is you're just going through a perception and it's affecting different parts of the body. And the reason that it's affecting people's smell and taste, this other thing that's going on, is because it's really getting up their nose and on their nerves and it's leaving a bitter taste in their mouth. Yeah. But that's the only main difference.
I actually had a client here this week who had a very similar thing that obviously, and hello, Wendy, stop calling it Freedom Day. I know, but I know we're not calling it Freedom Day. So on the 19th, very straight after the 19th, when everyone was let out. I'm worried about Wendy's now. It's Freedom Day. Yeah. We're all free anyway. Yeah, we are all free. But this is really for the viewers. So on that day when all the restrictions were lifted, a lot of people got sick. She came out and said, "Oh, I can't smell, I can't taste." I switched it off. It's quite a big conflict for her actually. But once you come out of the stress, so all of this stuff that they're saying that you get the symptoms of that isn't. It's because of the conflicts that are involved.
Now, please try and understand. We're only telling you this to help you get better.
Yeah.
All this does is help you get better naturally without having to spend time off work, time losing money, time being sick and ill, which we don't like being.
Listening to somebody who's just a drug dealer.
And wasting your money on medication and wasting your time. Don't get me wrong, it's really lovely sometimes when you're sick to have a few days off to yourself. It is.
And play the victim.
No, it's not just that. You know, I'm not saying I don't get run down sometimes. I do. And I do, when that happens, I listen to my body because I do work really hard.
Yeah.
I listen to my body and I stop for a few days. Yeah. And I sit and I chill and I enjoy those days. But because I recognise it, I don't get sick generally from it. And I heal faster. And then after a couple of days, I'm bored, so I want to get back to work.
Yeah.
Now, if you are consistently being ill, most people actually want to get back to their lives. So we're showing a really quick way of doing it, and you could learn to do it yourself. You don't need necessarily. I mean, sometimes you might. It's a big conflict.
Yeah.
But I've had people do this themselves, and it works. It works so well. Every person I've treated this way, when they've come to me with a virus or viral symptoms, I've been able to resolve it for them, even with severe things, even with something severe as chicken pox. Yeah. And I've mentioned this before. One of my good friends, She came to me. She's a solicitor or a
Yeah,
lawyer.
no, but you catch chicken pox.
Yeah,
You catch it, didn't you?
She came to me. She's an adult. She's in her 40s, and she got chicken pox, and she was due to fly to Washington. This was way before this whole pandemic nonsense. And she came on Skype. Now, bear in mind, this lady is beautiful. She's a diva. She looks great. And she came on and she was covered in cowpole. She still looked gorgeous, though, by the way. And she still looked beautiful cowpole. So I was quite impressed. But basically, she'd been told by a doctor she was diagnosed, but she was grounded. She said, he said, you got chicken pox, you're grounded, you can't fly. She called me, says, anything you can do. I said, okay, great. What's the shock? I told her what a shock was. Chicken pox is an intellectual conflict, which is why it affects kids at school. It doesn't affect all kids at school because not all kids go through the intellectual conflict because they don't think they're stupid. But in this case, she was being challenged intellectually. She didn't think she was stupid, but something in her environment was challenged, or someone, I should say, was challenge her intellectually on a particular subject. This stressed her, and this triggered a response. Once she resolved it, she went into repair. So what I did is I found that conflict. I did, I think, 1.5 sessions with her over 24, 36 hour period window. Switched the most of it off, switched the rest of it off the next day. She then went back to the doctor. The doctor said, your chicken pox is gone, you can fly, and she flew a day later. So she was 1 day late for her work in Washington. That is not possible traditional medicine, but it worked. She didn't necessarily bullet away, she did believe in me. But it's so simple to do. And viruses are actually, not viruses, we call them viruses, but the viral symptoms are such a base conflict. They're so simple to resolve that they can be resolved normally very quickly. I mean, a big shock like what you went through takes a bit of time sometimes, but usually things like that. The only time...
How do you catch viruses, mate?
Oh, that's true. The only time a viral symptoms are trickier is post-viral fatigue, because that's normally been going on for longer. But I've still resolved that for people. You know, I had a guy come to me, lovely, lovely bloke. He got post-viral fatigue, couldn't get rid of it. And it was literally a shock about his boss. And he wasn't even around his boss any longer. It was being triggered by someone who reminded him of his boss. And he'd had it for months and he couldn't get rid of it. This guy did not believe me. This guy did not believe me at all, but he was referred to me. As a last-ditch result, nothing was working. He was a vicar. He's spiritual. He believes in God. He didn't believe what I was saying. But he was desperate because he wanted to get back to work because he loved his job. So within 5 weeks, it had all gone and he was back at work and he was fine. And, you know, and I said to him, there's only one way this can get re-triggered again, is if there's something that happens that I couldn't predict a trigger. And a year later, he went to a conference and he bumped into his old boss. He got small symptoms back. He came back. I switched that off, and he never had. I saw him for years after that with different problems. He never had that problem since. So I've done it so many times. I get that it's such new information. It sounds bizarre because you've been told for so long. Oh, you can't do virus,
or you catch a cold, or you catch flu, and you need to go and get something outside that's going to somehow this magical thing that don't exist. To go back to inject into you so you can fight it all off. Yeah.
And the problem is when someone says, well, they've got it, so I'm going to get it. The problem is that beliefs are very powerful. So because we believe that's how it works, we can actually create it by our own belief.
Yeah.
That's not what causes it generally, but people do create it through their own belief systems.
Yeah.
I hear it all the time. You'll get someone go, oh, my partner's got it, so I'm going to get it now. And then they do.
Yeah.
But you'll get other partners go, oh, my partner's got a cold. And their friend will go, oh, you're going to get it. I go, no, I won't get it. I'm fine. And they don't. Yeah. And that's just a belief system.
I know.
It's just their belief is working for them and the other person's not.
What's funny is my mate, he said, I've got it, my daughter's got it, my other's daughter's got it. So we've all caught it. But the wife that went on holiday and did the 7-hour journey back was fine.
Exactly, yeah. So why did she catch it? Well, that was her immune system, wasn't it?
Yeah. Immune system. Yeah.
So one of my friends.
The antibodies.
So one of my friends who I actually woke up to this right at the beginning of the pandemic. I met her in March of 2020 in town. I bumped into her, I should say. She was with a friend and she was with a young baby at the time. And they were really worried. And I just casually said to this person, off the cuff, don't worry, you don't catch a virus anyway. She went, what? I was like, no, you don't catch one. Now, I didn't explain it. I kind of did a little bit. Her friend thought I was nuts. But this...
I think you're nuts.
Friend, I am a bit nuts.
I'm nuts.
This friend of mine...
We're both nuts.
We weren't close friends. And we were sort of acquaintances. We've become closer friends over the last year or so because she's woken up. But she didn't have a reason to disbelieve me. She in her brain, she went, you know what? Jonathan wouldn't lie. So I'm going to go and research this. Ooh, it's close. So I'm a dreadful liar. Even my girlfriend said you're a dreadful liar. I can't lie for toffee. Not that I've ever lied to get toffee. That would be silly. I don't need those. Go and buy it or make it.
Oh, exactly.
But I'm a dreadful liar.
Would you lie for fudge?
No, maybe coconut. Maybe. But anyway, I'd lie for a bounty.
You would lie for a bounty.
So, but she just set in her brain. She went, well, Jonathan's got no reason to lie, which I haven't. So she went and researched. It took her 2 months, in fairness, to find the truth. Once she did, she went, oh my God. And she realised she'd been lied to all these years. Yeah. And so I woke her
Everyone's
up.
Been lied to.
But later on, a few months later, or maybe even a year later, early this year, she got cold sores in her mouth. And so did her partner. And of course, her partner went, see, told you catch it. Well, no, they both went through the same conflict. Right. They both had the same conflict of not speaking the words, of bitter words unspoken, I believe it is actually the actual thing. They weren't speaking how they feel. They felt angry and bitter about the argument they'd had. And so the cold sore came up. If one of them didn't feel bitter about it, they wouldn't have got the cold sore. They'd have got a different symptom. So a man and woman can sometimes get different symptoms because they perceive the shock differently. However you perceive it is how it's going to hit your body. So if my friend had felt it was bitter words, they would have got the cold sore. But if her partner had thought it was something he couldn't accept or digest, he'd have got a stomach problem or heartburn.
Or something that you said said something that you didn't mean. It could have hit a throat.
It could have hit, well, it could have, well, but that's more a fear. Yeah, it could have. Yeah. It could hit the throat, or it could hit the, if it's a territory fear, if it's frightened in the territory. But usually when two people argue, it's an anger issue. So sometimes it's something you can't accept and digest. Sometimes a territory that makes you angry. Sometimes a self-worth issue. It affects your muscles. So it affects people in different ways depending on how you're perceiving the shock. But they didn't catch it from each other. They just resolved conflict. And once she realised that, she was fine. Yeah. So all of these things, every time I've found the conflict in someone, I've always found the conflict in someone, the situation has resolved and the flu virus has left the body and healed naturally.
Yeah, and so just want to recap, because I said this last week. What's actually going on is something happens in the environment. You react to it psychologically, and then it will affect you biologically. Now, how that psychologically affects you means it will go into your subconscious. Your subconscious is your body. So now there's a conflict of shock or judgment or whatever it is in the environment that you've now had in your brain, and that signal then gets sent to a specific organ that relates to the conflict. So there's now a signal that's affecting cells, the chest, the throat, the ear, the tongue, the whatever it is. It doesn't really matter what it is. Your leg, your knee. It'll be a conflict for everything. The liver. So what's happening now is something's happened in the environment. You've reacted to it. You've had a psychological response. It now sends a signal to the body, which now reacts biologically. And now you're going to get the symptoms, the pains, the flus, the viruses, the colds, or whatever the symptoms are. What happens now is that when you go and find out what the conflict was of when it happened, and you use DTO and switch off the responses to the conflict, guilt, shame, fight, flight, run away, beliefs, and switch that off, the conflict now disappears, the signal stops going to the organ of the cell, and the problem disappears. It's that simple.
It is literally like magic. People get that overnight.
You don't catch anything.
No. And I've even had people come to me, and they were coming to me in my clinic for pain. And I remember it clearly as day. It was 2 women actually in the same month. And they both had viral flu type symptoms. And all they actually had was a trapped nerve in their shoulder. Yeah. And when I released that trapped nerve, the symptoms vanished within 24, 36 hours. And they'd had that for weeks. So, people just don't understand the body. And I will say, if what we're saying is triggering you, and you go, no, I'm not, you're getting angry, you're being triggered.
Yeah.
You're being triggered because you're making it personal about you on some level.
Because you know better and you've done the research and your doctor said and your person said this and that.
Don't make it personal about you. We're not trying to trigger you. We're trying to help you. We don't make money out of this. I'm not even saying you need to come and see us to switch it off. You could learn to switch it off yourself. In fact, just recognizing this, some of your symptoms will lift automatically.
Or you could get rid of the old beliefs, bring in a new belief and not get sick at all.
Yeah.
How about that? Whoa, that'd be too simple though, wouldn't it? We'd be able to have them days off work, ladies and gentlemen. Would we? We wouldn't be able to go, I can't make it tonight, Sally. I've got to come down with a terrible cold. We'll call it a terrible cold.
Yeah.
It's all nonsense.
That's if you want to pretend that you're sick, that's fine. Pretend you got something else, but don't fake a virus. It's sad to me that so many people get sick and ill, and they suffer because they've just been told something for over 100 years, which is a blatant lie. And why is it a lie? Because I've done it.
Yeah.
I've switched it off lots. I haven't just gone, oh, that's a good theory, I like that. I've gone and tested the theory, and I've proven it to be correct over and over and over and over and over and over again.
Hundreds of people.
Yeah, and once I learnt that, I very rarely get sick myself. I'd have to have a massive shock for me to get. Oh my God, I'm going to get ill now. I'd have to have a massive shock for me to actually get a virus or a flu, because I haven't had one in ages. Because I know this information, so I can often either resolve it before it happens, or my body's just gone, oh, that's what it is. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah,
and so unless I have a massive amount of stress, and I have had a lot of stress actually in recent times.
Working with me does.
Working with you, I do.
That's like stressful.
But my body doesn't because I resolve a lot of it, doesn't manifest as a flu or viral symptoms. Yeah. So the most likely I get tiredness and fatigue, but I'm working really hard. So that's my fault though, because I'm working hard, not getting enough breaks. That is my fault. But it's not manifesting as a virus. So, and if it did, I would do the exact same thing as I've always done. I'd find the shop.
Did you take a PCR?
Switch it off? No, I wouldn't.
No, isolate yourself for 10 days.
No, I definitely wouldn't do that.
Okay.
Fuck that. Yeah. And I want to say this. So people say to me, they're very kind. They'll call me up and go, oh, I just want to say I'm not very well. And I didn't know if I was still okay to come see you in your clinic. And this is all before this COVID nonsense. It's very kind. And I just mess them all, say, but it's okay, don't worry. I won't ever catch anything from you. You're fine. Because I know that I won't. And they're quite shocked by that. Yeah. The only thing I do say is I say, well, look, if you're really not well enough to come and see me because you can't get out of bed, that's fine. We'll reschedule. But if you still want to come and see me, it's absolutely fine. You're not going to harm me. Yeah, and nobody ever has.
I think the hardest thing for people is that because they've never been told actually what's really going on, the easiest thing, because I actually don't know what's going on, it's just the only option is, well, I must have caught it then, because I don't know any other way of getting it, because they've never been taught or learned or explained actually what's really going on biologically that makes you feel those symptoms, etc. And because no one's ever been able to do that or explain why, or they've ever been told that, their automatic assumption is that they've caught it. So when it comes to colds, flus, and viruses, they always catch them. Yeah. But everything else you don't catch. You don't catch diabetes. No. You don't catch earache. You don't catch cancer. You don't catch IBS. You don't catch any of these things. But the other ones, like flus and colds, you do catch. Yeah. So all the other stuff all the other illnesses is because the body's, we'll call it malfunctioning or not working properly, right? So if all of those other sicknesses and illnesses because the body's gone wrong, surely viruses, colds, and flus will mean the body's gone wrong. Why only those three things then is it that you catch, but every other illness and sickness is because of something else?
Well, exactly.
Explain the logic. Explain the logic to that for me.
Exactly.
I'd love to know. I'd love to know why people think they catch viruses, colds, and flus, but every other sickness they don't.
But if they told us to caught everything, no one would ever go out ever and do anything. That's the problem. We'd all been we're in fear in now. I say we're in.
Logically, think just about
logic.
That would just make sense.
The problem is that logically it does make sense. You catch something because you'll get something, then someone else gets it, and they'll go, well, logically that makes sense. But actually, it is completely illogical because there will be that one person who hasn't got it, or there will be the two person who hasn't got it, or there'll be the 50% of children in school who don't get chickenpox. Yeah. So, if you actually think about it genuinely logically, it doesn't make sense. Because there will be times when you both get sick. If you're talking about a partner, there'll be times when one of you do. There'll be times when both of you do. There'll be times when your kid will get sick, but you won't get it. If you really caught it, there'd be no barrier. You would get it every single time, and the only time people do that is when they believe they're going to get it, so they do. So all I'm saying is that if you want to get better quickly, if you want to resolve things, then learn what's actually creating the symptoms. Stop buying into the bullshit that people are taught every single day that keep them ill, suffering, sick, and dependent on the medical profession, when actually you can take control of your own health. That's all we're trying to teach you, to take control of your health. And what it does is it makes people think they're weak. What they've done is they've made people think they're weak, they're vulnerable and fragile. I treated a lady the other day, lovely lady.
Oh, there's nothing you can do about it because it's just it's out of court. There's
No,
nothing I can do.
But I treated a lady the other day. She's must be in her late 60s, early 70s. Got sciatic pain, going to a chiropractor, not getting anywhere with them. But she's believing it's her age, and she's making her feel weak and feeble. And I constantly tell people of the older generation, it has nothing to do with your age.
Oh, that's all right then.
That's you're fine.
Okay,
Yeah.
good, right
Well,
then.
in your case, no, I might disagree. It's probably your age.
Bugger.
But it really isn't. I see 20-year-olds with sciatic pain. It has nothing to do with your age. You don't get weaker as you get older. You're not more vulnerable. You're not susceptible to certain things. It's complete bollocks.
What about wear and tear?
Wear and tear is bollocks as well. So many people say, "Oh, well, I've looked at the X-ray. It's wear and tear." Fuck off. Your spine does not make you move. Your muscles do. Your spine is only there for the range of motion and the way it moves. It's not there to move you. Your muscles move you. I don't give a shit what wear and tear you got on your spine. The only reason wear and tear is there is because you've used it incorrectly, because of the way you've moved and the way your lack of flexibility.
Yeah.
But other than that, it doesn't matter because your muscles are what make you move. You take control of your muscles, start learning to move correctly, start being more flexible and raise your value for yourself and your self-worth. Your muscles will be absolutely fine.
Yeah.
So all of this is just things to make you weaker, make you more dependent, make you feel more vulnerable.
And make the pharmaceutical companies billionaires.
And they do. Day in, because it's me telling you it's not going to make you a billionaire. In fact, a lot of people are going to go,
no, most people are going, did him 2 tosses last night, blah, 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 blah.
But if we can just help one person, if just one person hears this and goes, oh my God, that's why I got sick. If just one person gets it, then I'm happy. And the more I tell people, the more they do start to get it. But once I learned Meta, it really showed me why we get sick, and I've road tested it so many times. Of course, there is another reason we get sick due to poisons and chemicals in the environment, which shouldn't be there. And hopefully, in the not too distant future, they will all be lifted and gone.
Especially when you're eating food that isn't food, which is a toxin. You're going to eat that.
Yeah.
It's going to go into your blood system. Your blood system is going to go into your cells.
Yeah.
Your cells are now going to get overloaded with toxin and poisons.
Yeah.
Guess what we have to make to get rid of that? Viruses. So you're actually doing it to yourself. You're not catching it. It's just you've got bad diet, bad water, food that's not food. Anything inorganic that you don't eat goes into your system. Bad air, whatever they're spraying as well, if they believe in that. Whatever you're doing goes into your blood. Your cells then take all of that crap, all of that inorganic stuff. And then what happens is the cells get overloaded with toxins and poisons, because the word virus means poison, by the way. And then the cells make the virus to clean it all out. So where did you catch that then from? I'll tell you where it caught from shit education, bad food, taking stuff in your body that's inorganic. You're doing it to yourself. You're actually doing it to yourself. You're actually making yourself sick.
It's not your fault.
Something out there that's making you go ill.
It's not really your fault. You've been taught incorrectly. But we just want you to re-educate yourself and just understand that we have nothing to gain from this. We're just trying to help. And it always baffles me that people attack people for telling proper information. I'm like, seriously? Come on, do me a favour.
I know. Well, anyway, look, I think we covered that.
Did we cover that? Do you reckon?
I think so. I mean, it's just so all you need to know is you're in stress and repair.
So are there any comments? There have been some comments. Any questions?
Yeah, we've comments? Got. Oh yes, we love the way you guys work.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks for that, Sharon. Thank you for that. And no, not really. I can't see them. They've all gone up the screen. But anyway, so we're going to move on to the most stupidest thing we've heard this week.
Okay, go on then. That's your one. You take it. Take it away.
Well,
the most stupid thing you heard this week.
Well, the most stupidest thing I've heard this week is, I don't know if you know what's going on in Australia.
I've seen videos of what's happening in Australia. Not on mainstream media.
No, you won't hear it on
I'm not seeing any on mainstream media, but I've seen videos.
Well, I'll go on to what you've been seeing on mainstream media. But in Australia, it's really, really bad what's going on with the tyranny out there. And so I heard Dan Andrews, he's the Premier of Victoria.
Right.
And basically, they've locked people down so badly now that they are forbidden, or they're not allowed to talk to their next door neighbour.
Yeah.
And they're not allowed to order anything online.
Yeah. But it was over one case, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was over one positive case.
Yeah. So just think about that.
Yeah.
That is the most stupidest thing you've heard this week. So what they're actually doing is because of lockdown and COVID.
Yes.
You're not allowed to talk to your neighbour, and you're not allowed to order online
shopping.
What the hell has that got to do? If, let's say it was true, and it's how the hell is that actually have
Yeah.
any relevance whatsoever? It's
So
the
if you
stupidest thing I've
did catch a
heard.
virus, how is online shopping going to make that worse?
You know that online shop?
Yeah, no, you can't go on the internet because you might get an internet virus. Well done, Bill Gates. Fucking idiot.
Madness.
So yeah, I mean that is just absurd behaviour. You can see that's a blatant
I
lie.
listened to that. I'm going, is this geezer freaking serious?
And I want to point out right now, it's going to be really, really harsh. But if you think that makes sense, we can't help you.
You can't help yourself.
You need help. Please get off of our podcast.
There's someone going, yeah, I know, but it's so because the virus go on the parcel, so it's obviously you don't want to spread it on the parcels. You don't want to speak to your neighbours; they might have a mask, and you might catch it from your neighbour. I mean, honestly,
no.
There will be somebody out there watching.
Grow up.
We'll watch it afterwards and think that. I know it's insane. So it's just super.
But it is sad. It is sad that they're going to such lengths over nothing, because nothing's really happening out there except the lockdowns. That's what they're going. They're going for this tyranny because it was over one case.
Yeah, no, the one case was in New Zealand. I think you'll find that they shut the whole country, New Zealand, down for one case.
One case.
So based on PCR test that doesn't actually detect infection, which is really great.
Which
I said last week, they're using a test that doesn't detect infection, but they're using that to find out if people are infected.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how insane this country and the people of the world are, because they actually believe a test, and they'll lock themselves away for 10 days. I've got it. I've got to stay indoors. Yeah, but the test isn't designed to detect infection. Carrie Mullins, the geezer that invented it, actually said it's not designed for it. It's like for people going, yeah, I know, but if the government takes it, I've got to do it. So anyway, it is insane. But I've heard that there's a big thing now. The truckers, people out there have had such enough now of it so badly. I think the truck unions, they're getting together. They're going to literally block all the borders up now and shut the whole country down.
Yeah,
because it's just
they've got to do something. People got to stand up. That's the first thing you heard. What was the stupidest thing you saw?
Stupidest thing I've seen this week. So obviously there's a whole load of stuff going on about Afghanistan, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So this is the problem. So anybody who watches mainstream media and believes it, you're a mug, because it's all lies and fabricated and propaganda, and hardly any of it's true, right? And here's a great example of it, because I do a lot of the research boards, and I go and look at a lot of stuff, and anything I ever see or hear, I never believe anything. I go and check it first. So this is why I know so much information, because whatever I hear, see by any authority, I know 180%, 99% of the time it's a bollocks, it's a lie, or it's a half truth, and I'll go and find out the real truth and what's going on. Like the PCR test was meant to detect infection, but when you go and actually find out the real facts, the guy that invented it said it's not meant to be the infection. So it's always 100% the opposite. Whatever they tell you, the opposite is true. So anyway, I don't watch the news. I don't watch any TV now, because it's just a torrent and barrage of social engineering, propaganda, and mind control. Don't care what you think. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I know NLP, and I know what they're doing all the time. And this is why the world and why you think. But anyway, going off on a bit of a tangent. So anyway,
on a tangent. So definitely a tangent.
So anyway, I'm on social media. And there's this. I see this picture just as it was happening of this plane going down the runway.
That's right.
With all of these Afghanistanis in front of it, running right, and in front of it, and it was a big army plane, and it was a video of this plane going down. And I was going, "Oh my God, look! It's really terrible. It's really, really bad."
And it's the image they keep showing. It's the common image they keep.
Yeah, so it's the plane that they've got with all of the people running at the time that it happened.
Yeah,
and actually, so that plane. So let me just clear this up. So the plane that you're seeing in the video, that plane and that footage was from 2010.
Right.
It's actually not. It's 11 years old.
Right.
And when you actually go in and do the research on that plane, it's actually a broken down plane without any wings, basically in Washington. And what happened is that plane was involved in the whole Bin Laden hoo-ha 11 years ago. Yeah. And that footage is from 11 years ago. And the other thing as well, if you look at the footage, it says the 62nd Air Wing Division. Yeah. Well, that basically in 2010 was shut down and become the 627th Squadron. Right. So the whole thing is completely a lie. So the media, again, have literally taken this old footage, used it to convince you of this thing that's going on out there. All you numpties have reacted to it, going, oh my God, it's terrible what's going on out there. Actually, well, that was 11-year-old footage. And if you'd stop and actually go and say, well, hang on a minute, is this footage true? You'd find out that it was 11 years old, that the plane's actually in Washington. It doesn't actually flipping exist because its wings are taken off. And the actual the division of the Air Force that it actually has printed on the plane no longer exists. So anyway, so anyone that bought that and posted that on your social media and believes all of it, going good luck to you. But that's what you need to do. So that's the stupidest thing I've seen this week is something that's 11 years old that they've used to try and convince people this thing's happening in Afghanistan. Not to say that stuff's happening in Afghanistan.
No. But the image they're showing.
But I don't even know if it is.
No, we don't.
Because I haven't been there. I haven't seen it. And actually, all the footage that they use is actually a lie. So is actually all of it a lie? Yeah. I don't know. But if they're lying to me about that, they're lying to me about everything.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't trust them for anything. Anything they tell me. Anything. No. So anyway, that's the stupidest thing I have seen this week was, and the other stupid thing is everybody reacting to the video that's 11 years old, going, "Oh my god, it's terrible," when it's 11 years old.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
people are mental.
I saw some post about that, but I didn't. I don't know what's going over there, and
nobody does.
To me, I'm just laughing at what Biden's doing.
Yeah.
That's one of the funniest things I've seen this week is Biden's response to it.
As if it's going on.
Yeah, that's right.
The only reason you know it's going on is because it's on his TV screen, and everything on a TV screen is a lie or a mistruth.
Yeah, no, that's true. Yes, no,
so you don't even know.
No, but I'm laughing at the way they're all. Biden has apparently handled the situation and left people over there. Or if he has.
Well, I think so. Obviously something's happening over there. But what worries and concerns me is why do you have to, if it's really true, then use real life footage.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't use footage
why are you faking footage?
Why are you faking and using footage from 11 years old?
Yeah, exactly.
Why are you using that?
That's the question's got to be answered. Why are they using footage from 11 years ago? You go answer that question.
Why? So why didn't you just show the real footage? If you want to convince people, show them the truth, show them the real footage. Don't then lie to all the people and go, this is happening, and here's the picture of something that happened 11 years ago from an Air Force division that's no longer exists.
Yeah. It just
it's shut down.
It just makes no sense. It's just illogical.
I know,
but then nothing in the world makes sense at the moment. Everything's topsy-turvy. There's so much going on. It's unbelievable.
It's funny. The other thing I thought was funny, as I don't know if you saw, but on Australian TV, they were talking about the Afghanistan thing, and then halfway through there was like a 2 or 3 second video or section. And this is on their mainstream news. Yeah. So on their mainstream news, they're doing this whole thing about Afghanistan and Biden. All of a sudden, for about 3 seconds, it flicked to a satanic ritual. And then it came back off again.
Oh, that's being done. Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic.
It was funny. That was really, really funny.
Oh, Trump's in control of that one. That's funny. That is.
No, who's in control anymore?
Oh, I got a good idea. That's because it wouldn't happen otherwise. That's just too funny.
I don't know what's going on.
But no, that's very funny. There's been a lot of things like that. There's been a lot of little things that have happened like that.
There's loads of it. If you're
paying attention, you
can
can spot these little things that happen, which are just too I don't believe in coincidences. Never have done.
That's a coincidence because neither do I.
Do you not? Fantastic. So maybe coincidences exist.
Maybe they do.
It's making me question that
now.
But I think the universe is rarely so lazy, as was once said in a Sherlock episode. I said that quite candidly. Sherlock episode. I'm not sure why I did that, but yes.
Because you're a camp.
Yeah, I am. So no, I think there's a lot going on that we're unaware of, and a lot of the stuff we're seeing is like not necessarily the whole truth.
No,
and since Steve has woke me up to a lot of things, I really don't believe anything's happening in the media these days, because a lot of it I've learned.
Well, it's not journalism anymore. It's mind control propaganda. It's to get you to believe in an agenda or a belief system or something that they want to push through.
Yeah.
So that's what they do.
Journalism is supposed to show both sides. Yeah. They're supposed to show both sides of the story, not just push one side and block the other side out.
But just take exactly. But you just take this thing. Initially it was like, okay, all right, everybody, it's 2 weeks to flatten the curve.
Yeah.
And that was 20 months ago, and now 40 million people have been vaccinated, and now telling you that if you don't get vaccinated, you can't go out to the supermarket, and you can't do this, and you can't go to football. You've got to have this test. Yeah. What the hell? Right?
Yeah.
Right. So little by little, inch by inch, it was just this, it was just that. It's just a test. It's just this. It's just that. Now we've got to this, and everybody's going, oh, okay, yeah, no, okay, yeah, okay, because the news said, the man on the telly said, Boris said, and this, we've got to do that. Okay, and they've taken you from there to where we are right now, and everyone's just gone along with it. Yeah. Without actually saying, if they'd done what we've done and said, hang on, can you catch a virus? Can you actually catch a virus? And if everyone had done that right at the beginning,
none of that happened. No, they've all gone. They've all turned to gun and gone,
exactly.
Fuck off.
Yeah. But no, what they've all done is now locked themselves, shut their business down, lost loads of money, lost their freedom for 18 months.
And said we're conspiracy.
There's someone on the TV that they don't even know that they've trusted told them, 80,000 immunologists and doctors and everyone have been out going, this is all a load of bollocks.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, don't want to listen.
And they've labelled all them as conspiracy theorists.
All conspiracy theorists.
Yeah, exactly. All doctors and nurses that come out saying it's not true.
Yeah.
That's a conspiracy theory.
Yeah. But the celebrities
Oh, yeah,
the newsreaders and the politicians
they're
are
the ones to
they're
listen
the
to.
authentic ones.
They're the ones to listen to.
Yeah, exactly.
What was
because
really
all of those people really care and love you and want the best for you.
Of course they do, totally. And this
the
is
doctors and the immunologists and the virologists don't. They want to kill you. They want to screw you over. So.
But what I found really interesting was, I know you know, but if anyone knows who Alex Belfield is, he's a YouTube presenter. He was absolutely brilliant. I highly recommend you look him up.
Yeah, I like him.
But he actually stated the other day, which I thought was really good. And he's not a conspiracy theorist at all. He just tells the news as he sees it in the news. He gives his opinion. That's it.
Well, the news is conspiracy.
Well, and I get that.
So he is a conspiracy.
No, I get that. But I said to it. No, I didn't say to him. Sorry. He said it's very interesting to note that in the last year and a half, that what people said at the beginning with was a conspiracy theory has now come to pass as true.
Yeah, no.
But then he said, well, if that has come true, what other things have we been told that are now going to come true?
Yeah.
And I was like, that's really interesting point.
Yeah,
because what was said was a conspiracy theory 18 months ago has now come to pass to be true. So all the other things that conspiracy theories are saying might actually be true as well. You might want to be a bit careful.
Right. So think about when I first met you.
Yes.
And I started telling you all of this stuff.
I know.
I told you this was going to happen.
Yeah.
I didn't tell you that the virus or the lockdown was coming. I told you that
this is going to happen.
This is going to happen. You don't know how it's going to happen, but it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Right.
In fairness, he did.
I did. I knew it was coming. Right. Because
about 4 months before it happened, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was actually about Christmas.
Yeah, because I've been researching this stuff for years. And I know what goes on, who's in control, who owns the money, what farmers about, all of it. The whole thing's a massive illusion. The whole thing's just a big lie.
Yeah.
And once I learned that and learned that everything's inverted back to front and upside down, right now men are boys and boys are men, and you just see it in the TV shows, you see it in the education, you just see it everywhere.
Yeah, girls and men.
There's an agenda, and there's been a 100-year plan to do that. So when you know that, people should go and look up the Kalergi plan. Go and look up the Kalergi plan, and then you'll start understanding why so much immigration is happening. The Kalergi plan, and it's quite frightening. But anyway, that was in 1952, and it was actually one of the main members of the EU and the European Union and all the rest of it. The Kalergi, Kalergi plan. Go and read that up. It was just scared the shit out of you. But I knew all of this stuff, right? And the thing is, I told you all of this stuff was going to happen.
Yeah,
and now all of a sudden, most of the things that I told you have pretty much come to pass.
Yeah.
So. But everyone thought I was a conspiracy theorist and thought it was a nut job.
Well, it's funny. You told me that. Then I told you couldn't catch a virus, and you went and researched that.
I did. I went to
you did your research on it. You didn't just trust me.
No.
You went and did your research. And why didn't you just trust me? Just fucking listen to me.
Yeah. No.
But no, you did. But you told me all that information. Then you did your research on the virus, and then you told me all this other information. Yeah. And since what you told me, eventually I started listening, and because it started making sense, I couldn't disprove it. I couldn't go, well, actually. And since then, I don't really believe anything that I've been taught.
All you got to do is start off with the WHO, the United Nations, and the central banks. That is when you realise that is all basically just like the Fourth Reich. Basically, that's. And when you look at Operation Paperclip and all of the Nazi generals that were part of the Second World War that all got captured weren't executed in the Nuremberg trials. They were all shipped over to the States.
Yeah.
And then you start looking at the monetary system, the fiat currency. Then you start looking at the Federal Reserve and Rockefeller, and it all starts adding up. Then it all brings into the Titanic stuff and all the rest of it, and all how the Federal Reserve actually come into play and what actually was behind that. And honestly, and then you start looking at the rules and the bloodlines, and then it all comes back. All goes back to one. These are all non-elected government organisations like the World Economic Forum.
Yeah.
So the World Economic Forum are all the people that control all the corporations, the elite super rich people that own like the
Rothschilds.
You got the banks, but you've got all of the Adidas and the big pharmaceutical companies and Nike, all these elite people, the tech companies that are Google and Amazon, all these super rich people, all basically want to control and own the world. And they're doing that because they've got all the people in places. They bought governments, they've bought the media, they basically own everything. And they're basically feeding you everything that they need you to know in order for them to push their plan and agenda, because you're completely oblivious to the other 99% of what's really going on, because you're only focused on what they're actually showing you. Look at this shiny light. This is what you need to focus on, and this is on the news, and this is in the newspapers, and that's how it works. And so when you start looking at everything else and seeing how the structure works, then when you start coming outside of that mainstream focus and start looking at all the other stuff and start researching it and looking into it, and don't just basically think anything that's not that 1% is a conspiracy.
Yeah.
Actually, the 1% is a conspiracy, and the truth's the other 99%.
Yeah.
But most people can't see that, won't go down. It takes time and effort, and they don't care anymore. They just want to quite happily give away their rights, their freedoms. And turn out in, and then wonder what happened, and then turn into a victim in 10 years' time when they've got nothing.
Yeah.
And everything's gone. Well, and their children are now no longer their children, and they're owned and controlled by the state. I mean, look what's happening in Australia. I mean, it's
all those kids pulled into that.
Well, exactly.
So if you haven't heard it, there's been like 24,000 kids being pulled into a building,
into a stadium where the parents aren't even allowed to.
Not allowed parents in, and they've been injecting the kids with a jab.
Yeah.
Against their parents' wishes.
Yeah.
Although the parents have been taking the kids to it, so that's stupid.
No, yeah, but if they don't, then they're taking the children away from the parents.
Right. See,
they're literally taking away.
Disgusting behaviour. Always like.
When you like to live in Australia right now.
No, I wouldn't. And that explains why I never moved to Australia in the first place.
Yeah.
But what was really interesting was there was a post on one of the things I was following, and it said, it's interesting, now that the COVID nonsense is dying down, we're back to terrorism again.
Yeah.
Because what happened, as soon as COVID kicked in, all the terrorist stuff went away. Yeah. Nothing happened about that. We heard nothing. No. And now that narrative of COVID is dying away, terrorism's back again.
They actually can't sustain it much longer because there's too much truth coming out around
Way
it.
too much
so what they've now got to do is give you another distraction for the media to focus on. Oh my God, it's Afghanistan, and that'll be all over there. And then when that's all done over, it'll be something else. Jeff Bezos in space, and then all folks are
climate change,
and all the little sheep will go and run over there and watch that. Oh my God, Afghanistan, and they'll go and then it'll be about space, and then all the little sheep, herd of sheep, will all herd off and all focus on that one thing that they're telling you about, and you'll all talk about it in the bars, and you'll be on Facebook and all that talking about it, and then they'll bring something else, and all the sheep go there, and then they'll go and focus.
I know, yeah.
That's what generally happens.
That's what they do. That's throughout history. That's what they create dramas to solve the drama. They always create a drama and then solve it for you as if they've done something brilliant. But they're creating the drama all the time. When I learnt recently,
the whole reality
that a lot of terrorism and war is actually created by the CIA.
Yeah.
When I learnt that, I'm like, they start the war, then they solve it, and then you're terrified you're going to be killed by a war that doesn't bloody exist. And was only created, that may have happened, but it was created by the good guys, or not the good guys, they're bad guys, but created by the CIA to leave everyone in fear, and to then create all these measures that you have to be security checked and all this, and make us think that we're all evil people.
Hegelian dialectic, problem, reaction, solution.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. But here's the other thing. It is disgusting what they do. This is the same thing. Oh, let's cause the problem. Virus.
Yeah.
Everyone reacts. Oh my God, what's the solution? Lockdown, do this, we're here to save you, do what the government say. That's what it's doing every time.
It's very clever.
It's only clever when stupid people don't fucking recognise it and allow it, right?
They've been for a long time, but
I know, but it's still stupid, right? Because no one questions it. They'll just go and sit in front of the hypnotised box and just believe it and being told and wait out and question it. This is the whole problem. This is where if people went and done the research in the first place about, hang on a minute, they're telling me there's a virus, can I catch it? Everyone went and learned about that.
No, they've been much safer. Safer.
Yeah, and they wouldn't have been able to do what they're doing.
No.
But here's the thing, you're going back to the CIA. When the Americans needed to get into the Vietnam War,
right?
They made this massive thing, there's all this stuff going on in Vietnam, but the people hadn't bought into it. So they wanted their war, to the communists, but the people didn't want it. They didn't want to have their kids and everything going. So do you know what they did? Is they attacked their own ship called the USS Tonkin.
Right.
So what they did is they sacked their own ship, right? Attacked their own ship, sunk it or damaged it. Can't remember. It was the USS Tonkin. So they then turned around and went, "Oh my God, the Vietnamese have attacked our ship," and done loads of media.
Yeah.
And then all the people went, "Oh my God, they sunk one of our ships." And then all of a sudden the military and the government now had permission from the people to go to war with Vietnam.
Yeah.
But actually what they did is they didn't have the permission. So they created a false flag by sinking one of their own ships to get the people to buy in. And then they was able to go into Vietnam.
They actually did this.
They do it all the time.
They actually did this, a storyline in a Bond movie. I think it was something, I can't remember. The villain was a news mogul who created the news because he had so much money, he would blow things up and then he already printed the paper, he printed the headline, he would then have someone blow up a ship or submarines. Say China. Say I couldn't speak.
Yeah.
Say China did it, and then they create this war,
Yeah,
and you create the war so you can publish it. And as I think about, that's exactly what they bloody do.
That's what they do.
They create it, and then tell you.
That's the same as ISIS. The ISIS was created by the CIA, and then what they did is they then give the ISIS the chemical weapons to attack Syria, and then they went, "Oh my God," and blamed it on the other guys and created the war.
Yeah, exactly.
They do it all the time.
And that might be brand new information for you, but
it will be because
it
it goes because you won't have heard it on the news.
Won't have heard it on the news. It won't be on the news. No.
Everything's on the news.
Yeah,
everything's on the news. Yeah.
But the leader of the CIA, who's passed since then, was photographed in the middle of the 4 people.
Yeah.
Who were head of the ISIS, and it's just so many things. That
John McCain.
John McCain. That's it.
Yeah.
He's recently died of whatever he died of. Probably got shot.
I think he got executed.
I think he got executed. Yeah, but that won't be on the mainstream media either. No. But so many things.
On his coffin was the wrinkled flag.
Oh, really?
Which means a traitor.
Oh, does that mean a traitor?
Yeah. Same as George Bush Senior. When he died, he had a wrinkled flag as well.
Yeah. There's so much information that's going to come out that we know is about to come out in the next few months, next year. Yeah. It will rock people's worlds. It really will. Yeah. And it rocks mine because he told me about it, and I've started looking into it, and it's just
terrible, isn't it? Yeah. You start finding out the truth.
Yeah, I know. Anyway. So anyway, but yes. So anything else to add?
No, not really. We had our own little flip.
We had a little rant. We had a little rant and a little chat about life and what's going on.
Yes. So I think we probably might as well call it a day, shall we?
Well, it is normally a day. Yeah, I don't think we're not
dropping
calling
like flies.
Everyone calls it a day. They're dropping like flies. They've gone off of day. Oh, never mind. Thank you for those.
Here they go again, talking that bloody rubbish and that conspiracy theorist rubbish. First they're telling us about you can't catch the virus or a cold, and the next minute they're telling you about.
Now they're saying the CIA has created ISIS. Oh my God, what are they doing? They've gone mental.
Oh no,
no, we haven't gone mental.
Eamon Holmes ain't saying it on loose and it ain't on loose women. It's not on loose women, and it ain't on the BBC with Hugh Edwards. I mean, these two are nutters.
No, they ain't got a clue what they're talking about. No, we're a bit risky tonight. We covered some other topics, but we're fed up with it. We just want to have a bit of fun. Yeah, so we hope you stayed and listened to the rest of it.
People that stayed and actually go and look at it and learn something.
Yeah, go and look it up. You can look it up, but don't Google it. Don't go it. Don't Google it. Don't go.
Because Google is owned by the people that we're telling you are causing the problem. Same as Wikipedia, it's the same.
Yeah.
They keep changing everything on there.
Or go to BitChute and look up some things, type in things there, look it up,
Odyssey, Library.
Yeah, I don't know those ones.
Yeah, they're good. I'll tell you, guys, you want to follow is Rainer Fulmick, and he's doing the coronavirus committee. Yeah, and he's interviewed every single expert and investigative journalist and politician, and he's got a guy called Wolfgang Waldard, who's also sitting in with him, and he basically was the one that ended the swine flu, and he was on the Council of 13 of the European Union. Right. So so he knows what's going on. Yeah. So that's really interesting.
So not just Joe Bloggs down the street who doesn't know what he's talking about, who just thinks there's something. They're actually he's
interviewed 120 people. He's interviewed. I've watched him. He's interviewed Robert Malone, the guy that invented the mRNA vaccine. Right. He's done all of the doctors. Honestly, I can't. And it's not just the UK English ones, Americans. It's Italians. It's French, Belgian, Dutch. I watched a really interesting interview he did with the Dutch guy, one of the Dutch politician, who's basically got 70 Dutch police whistleblowers that have basically, because over in Holland it's been really violent. I mean, really bad. But they've been instructed by the government to literally smash up people. And 70. So he's got 70 video testimonials saying that basically they've been instructed to do what they've been told to do by a higher authority. They've actually been told.
Why not just go and arrest the higher authority and beat the shit out of them?
Well, exactly.
That'd be much easier. Just say go no and beat the crap out of them.
It's more anyway. He's basically got like 70 of these police officers that have gone on because they can't live with the fact that other officers are just literally going out and I mean it is like Nazi Germany.
And that's going to traumatise them. That's more trauma on people who don't need to be traumatised.
It's Dutch people I've heard. So I also watched one with this Belgian lawyer, super lawyer. He's like a super lawyer. And he's basically ripped the whole thing apart, and it's really interesting. I mean, like instead of sitting there watching flipping,
Coronation Street,
go and watch this. Go and learn this stuff.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
It is really.
There are some absolutely amazing people out there doing really good work, trying to help
help
people
you
and help
stay
you
free.
to stay free, to keep your
That's
freedoms.
all right. I can't at the moment because skating and ice is on at the moment. And anyway, you know, it's like really, people just don't take enough interest in it, and they wonder why where they're at. But really good, yeah. So Dr. Rainer Fulmick, he's on his Telegram. You've got a Telegram. You can go and do a search for him on that, or you can find him on YouTube, which is the Coronavirus Ashhaus. It's a German Corona Ashhaus Committee. I don't know what that is in German.
Okay,
but yeah, really, really good. I've been following all his stuff.
Yeah.
And because what you actually get to hear is the expert of their field telling you what's actually
the actual expert.
The actual expert.
We're not talking about Chris Whitty.
Fucking Chris Whitty.
Who hasn't got a biology degree.
Fucking knobs.
We're not talking about government.
TV.
We're talking about actual experts, like who've got degree after degree after degree, and actually in-field expertise. And we don't mean Fauci either, because Fauci's a prick as well.
Yeah. Well, the geezer, Carrie Mullins. So I watched the video of Carrie Mullins talking about the PCR test, and he actually did an interview about Fauci.
Yeah.
And he basically said that Dr. Fauci is the biggest fraud in the world.
Yeah.
He will basically go on telly and lie and change and say anything just to basically get paid. It was, and that was there's the geezer that invented the PCR test, who unfortunately died just before coronavirus came out.
That's a coincidence, isn't it?
No such thing as coincidence.
No such thing as coincidence.
Now Dr. Malone is the one that invented the mRNA vaccine that everybody's had, and it was actually for animals. Really.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, it was meant to be. But he goes and he basically says what's going to happen, and it's really funny.
So just briefly before we go, say what he said. What you told me he said earlier on.
Oh, shall I say it on here though?
Well, yeah, if he said it, you can quote.
Well, he basically said
what he said.
Basically, what he said was that under no circumstances should any human take an mRNA vaccine.
Right.
Under no circumstances should
anyone,
a human being ever take an mRNA.
And he created the mRNA vaccine.
He was the one that created the mRNA.
Right, which are the vaccines that are being used today?
Yes, that's right.
Great. And why did he say that?
Because it can kill you.
Okay, great, brilliant.
Because they're actually it's a gene therapy. What actually happens is it snaps the DNA in half.
Right. Okay.
So, and what happens is when you snap the DNA in half, you're going to a cytokine attack on your body, and your body, when you go down with the sickness, your body then thinks it's healing, but it's not. It's attacking itself, and because it keeps attacking it, the thing that heals you to stop the antibody, the cells attacking the illness, that's been switched off. So you just keep getting attacked, and then you get organ failure, die.
See, now I actually find it fascinating because I'm not good with science and learning lots of things. I know how to switch viruses off and things like that. I know how to do that.
No, it's the spike protein.
But between Steve and my girlfriend, they have researched this to the nth degree. Yeah. And my girlfriend was not into this before Christmas. She did not want to know.
No, but I had a conversation with her.
But since Christmas, she has been on it and studying and learning. And she's in the beauty world herself, so she understands anatomy and physiology. Yeah. She understands how the body works. And she's been telling me this stuff, and Steve's been telling me these other things. I just do it and do what I do. Yeah. But Steve and my girlfriend, they researched this stuff and they've told me things. That to me is not only fascinating, it's scary. And it's coming from the person who created it. How can you argue with that? How can anyone then argue? Oh no, but Boris, fuck Boris, fuck him.
This is my whole business.
This is the guy who created it. I mean, you can't get more.
I know. So the first thing to do is, if I was told that I needed to go and get the shot, I'm going to go, right, okay, let's have a look at the shot. What is it?
Yeah.
So then I go and find out what's in it. What's actually
in the shot.
What's actually in the shot.
And it ain't vodka.
Right? And then you realise that there's no actual anything to do with the virus whatsoever. So that'd be like, that's a bit of a no.
Well, it can't be. It's not isolated.
They don't isolate it. So that's a bit of a no-no. Then find out, well, actually, what are they? So why would I actually have something that's not actually going to help me, right? And then I go and find out, well, who invented this in then? So if that's who invented it, I'll go and find out that it was Robert Malone, and then listen to what he's got to say about it, and he will turn around and say, under no circumstances have it. I'm going, that didn't take long. Do you reckon I should have it or not?
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Do you know what? I wonder how many people have done that.
Yeah, no one. Because they just... But when the
they're queuing up to get in the football ground so they can have their...
But if you tell someone that, they will just poo-poo it. But it's the person who created it. That's like arguing with the person who... I don't know. I can't know. It's like arguing with a man from Del Monte who invented orange juice. I mean, I know it's not strictly true. But you can't argue with the person who created it because they know. I mean, people. Mean.
And then what you're gonna have is all these self-righteous people posting their stuff, bragging about the fact that they had this thing.
Yep.
Right?
I know. Yeah.
They had this thing that's actually really, really, really not good for you.
No.
But they're proud of that.
They're very proud of that.
Very proud of that. And they're
that.
going to give you all the reasons why, because they don't want to fill up the hospitals and all the rest of it.
No.
Actually, I think you find the opposite is going to be true soon. But no. So anyway, so that was quite a revelation. Really. I mean, you can find all this information out if you know.
Yeah, you can go and look it up. Don't take Steve's word for it on my word. Go and look it up.
Yeah,
we've always said that. In fact, any truther will actually tell you, don't take our word for it. Go and look it up.
Yeah.
Because you can look it up. And it's just, it baffles me. It baffles me. But anyway, thank you for listening. We hope you stayed to the end. If it was on our own, that's totally fine. We enjoyed ourselves.
Yeah, we did.
For those of you who enjoyed our little rant and learnt something new, that's fine. We hope you did learn something new. We decided to have a little rant about other things tonight.
Yeah, I know. We're off a bit of a tangent there.
We did have a tangent.
Started off on
viruses, went back to ISIS,
started
then
on
went
viruses,
on to CIA, and then went on to war, and then back to viruses again. And then I had a bit of a rant and a shout because I got frustrated. But sometimes it happens. But I'm not going to switch it off, so it's fine.
You want me to love you?
Yeah, you can switch it off if you like. It's fine.
I will. Right, so do you want me to finish it off then?
Finish it off.
Okay, great. So thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for watching this episode of the Inside Outfit podcast. This was episode 49. We are going to be doing our 50th. So we're going to have a proper celebration with that one.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Party popper. Pop it.
A proper celebration. Party popper.
In style, yeah.
That's not a proper celebration. Glass of water?
Glass of water and a party popper. It sounds like you're perfect right now.
That is my vote. You chuck a chocolate biscuit in and I'll be there, boy. I tell you.
I won't be able to withhold your excitement.
No, I know.
So it might be a very short 50th podcast.
I'm tingling already. I'm there, man.
Yeah, so next is our 50th. So, which I can't believe we've done 50 podcasts.
No, that's amazing. 50 podcasts.
But so we've enjoyed doing it. We're glad that you join us and watch us. And if you like John said, you either learn it, you either take on board what we say. We're not doing this for fun, and we're not.
But we do. I do it for fun.
No. I mean, we're not telling these people for fun. We're actually trying to help you, educate you, give you a different point of view, and that actually works and it's proven. But you either take it on board, like I always say, take it or leave it. If not, off you go down the pub, have a few beers, talk about Max, and post something on Facebook about it. Yeah. But if not, we thank you. Thank you for joining us. We will be doing episode 50 soon. If you do want to contact Jonathan for anything that Jonathan does with regards to pain or mental health or emotional health, then go to his website, the www.thedtosystem.com. Or if you want to work with me and have more fun. And more loving and just more generally.
Is that propaganda?
More charismatic.
Is that going to be on you on BBC tomorrow morning?
Marketing, mate. It's
BBC
marketing.
News says Steve says he's more charismatic and more charming. Stay away from Jonathan. He's evil. You'll see it on BBC tomorrow. Probably.
Yeah, well, I'd like to agree with my right honourable friend here.
Yes.
Yeah, no. So you can contact me.
Boris Johnson states he slept with Steve Jacobs before he got married because he's so charming.
I'm not married.
No,
so that's a lie, isn't it, already?
Boris got married.
So that's www.healingthemind.co.uk. If you have anyone to work with any mental health, emotional health, coaching, want any help with your life to get to achieve your goals, and please reach out to me. Other than that, we will see you in a fortnight's time for our 50th episode. I'm going to say good night and thank you for joining us. Jonathan, you want to say what you want to say?
Good night, everyone. Thank you for joining us again. We love everyone for listening, and we look forward to having you on our 50th. Not having you, obviously, but I mean, just having you listen. That'd be great.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Ciao, and have a really good fortnight, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you soon.
See you soon. Take care. Bye.
Bye.